Okay, so once the recording started, I'll begin with the presentation. Okay, looks like it's started now. So thanks a lot for joining today. Today we're going to provide you with an overview of the 2023 Project of the Year, hosted by PMI Manitoba. And my name is Juan Salibar. I'm the president of PMI Manitoba. I'm a volunteer and have been on the board of directors for a number of years, but I've been a volunteer with Project of the Year for almost 10 years now. So it's something that I like doing. I like helping other organizations succeed and showcase their success with the PM community in Manitoba. And with me is also Herman. Herman's one of the lead Project of the Year committee members. So he helps us organize the submission process, getting the judging coordination in place, and helps us organize the event where we showcase the awards at our gala every year. So today, this is our agenda for today. Like I said, it's going to take about 20 minutes. I'll stop the recording once we get to the Q&A in case you have any questions that we can address in private. So I'll start with what's Project of the Year. I'll also talk about what the benefits for you and your organization by submitting for Project of the Year. We'll also talk about what you actually receive, the tangible awards are part of this accolade. We'll also talk about what the submission process looks like, how does it work, and what are the requirements, and a little bit about judging. How would the judges evaluate your submissions, and how do we select the winners and finalists? And then we'll talk about the next steps in the event you're interested in submitting your project. So first of all, what's Project of the Year? So Project of the Year has been a staple in PMI Manitoba for almost 20 years. So it started in 2005, and we've conducted it on an annual basis since then. And the whole purpose is to recognize the accomplishments of projects and organizations that demonstrate superior performance in project management, right? So it really celebrates those who by conducting superior project management, they're able to achieve outcomes and benefits for their organizations. Obviously I'm gonna explain how that works and how do we measure that. But that's the whole purpose of Project of the Year. So it's been, like I said, it's been running for almost 20 years, and thanks to that, and thanks to a lot of great organizations that have submitted their projects, it has become quite a successful award recognition and very prestigious in the province of Manitoba. Just give me a second. There's a couple of people in the lobby who I'm gonna let in. And thanks for those that just joined the call. We're just in our presentation right now. We'll allow some time at the end for questions and answers. So right now we got another 20 minutes to go on the presentation. So now that I talked about what the Project of the Year is, let's talk about why you should submit your project. Basically, what's in it for you, or what are the benefits for you, for your project team, for your PMO, or for your organization as a whole. And the first reason is exposure. So PMI Manitoba really wants to expose your project to the world. We take advantage of some publicity through this award. We invite the local media to our annual event where we unveil the winners and finalists. So you'll get some exposure that way. We also submit an article to the PMI Global Newsletter, which is a quarterly newsletter created by PMI. So basically, all the project managers affiliated with PMI in the world will be able to see your project as well through that newsletter. And the primary way we do that is we also create a 3 to 5 minute video that's professionally produced, which we show at the gala event We also upload it to our social media channels, and we share it across our social media platforms as well to promote your project. This is also a video that we can provide you copies with that you can use to promote the project yourself within your organization and outside your organization. Like I said, the second reason is recognition. We do want to recognize you. The Project of the Year has strong reputation now. Like I said, almost 20 years in the running. So the award is going to give you some recognition from your local PM community, which is about 1,000 members, the PMI Manitoba, and probably another 1,000 to 3,000 more that are not members of PMI Manitoba, but are also somehow connected to our networks, social media networks, newsletters, etc. You also get recognition from your project sponsor, right? Because this will give you and your organization a reason to celebrate, as well as the worldwide PM community. Like I said, we put this on our PMI on the PMI newsletter, which is globally accessible. And we can also sponsor you if you want to take the next step, which is put your project forward for the PMI Global Awards for Project Excellence, which is it's an option for you. You don't have to do it, but it'll give you additional exposure and recognition if you decide to take that next step. So we talked about two reasons that are sort of externally facing, but there's also other internal facing reasons why Project of the Year is good for you and your organization. And one of them is team building. There's really no better way to celebrate a project success than by putting your project forward for this recognition, right? It says thanks to your team. It celebrates their success. It motivates them and inspires them to do better the next time, right? Because they know there's a recognition. You know that your organization is thankful for all the work that they've done in order to achieve those outcomes. And it also generates buy-in within your organization, right? Buy-in from project sponsors, buy-in from your organization as a whole to have a strong project culture, and project management practices within your organization. And it also gives you a competitive advantage, not only to you, but your organization, right? It looks great on your resume. This is something you can put in as your resume as if you're a finalist or winner. Also for consulting companies that want to do that, they can also put it in bid responses for tenders, right? That will help them elevate their profile and give them a competitive advantage. So now that we talked about what the benefits are for you and your organization, let's talk about those tangible benefits that you receive by submitting your project. So we do have some tangible awards and benefits for the winner, the runner-up, and the finalist. So basically, the top 3 nominated projects will get something in return. And for the winner, we offer the Project of the Year title, the winner trophy, which is a beautiful glass-etched trophy in the shape of the Manitoba province. We also provide you with a $1,000 donation that you can donate to the charity of your choice. On top of that, we also add a 1-day pass to a PMI Manitoba conference. So we run a conference every year. So we will be providing you with a 1-day pass for you or for any of your team members who would like to attend the conference. That's a $500 value. We also take a photograph of the project team during the event. We will frame it for you and we'll provide it to your team as a way to recognize your success as well. And like I said, the professional video that we create, that's also yours to keep as well. For the runner-up, you will also receive a runner-up trophy, as well as a $500 donation to the charity of your choice. And also the 3 to 5 minute video that is created for you. And lastly, we also recognize the 3rd place, or we call it finalist as well, with the finalist trophy and a 3 to 5 minute professional video. On top of these awards, each nominating each nominating project is also going to receive 4 free passes for the PMI Manitoba Gala. Each of those passes is worth about $65 to attend the event, which is a 4-course meal, entertainment, networking, and presentation of the awards. So now that we talked about what you get in return for submitting your project, let's talk about what the submission process is and the requirements for submitting. So to learn more about the submission requirements, if you go to the website, and I'll have the link at the end of the presentation, but there is a very detailed submission guidelines, as well as a submission template that will guide you through the process of submitting. So some of the requirements that are included in those guidelines is that the project must be completed in 2022. So if you have a project that completed this year or is completed in the next 3 months, you will be eligible. Other than that, there's other eligibility requirements, like it needs to be based in Manitoba. But we do not discriminate in regards to what the size, the type of the project is. We have projects with very little budget, and we have multi-million projects as well, right? We have projects with 3 people, and we have projects with 50, 100 people. So the size doesn't really matter. You are still eligible to submit for these recognition, because we're really looking for project management practices and processes, right? How you follow those, and if you achieve the outcomes that you set to achieve, whether they're small or large. So it's good to be specific in the submission. Providing examples, providing qualitative and quantitative data is good. Anything that's measurable that you can prove is good to provide in the submission. We do cap the submission to 15 pages, just so that each project is evaluated within the same limit. However, we do allow for unlimited appendices, which allows you to provide additional information, which is not going to be used for judging, but it may be helpful for some of the judging aspects, right? And that may include like photographs or design sketches or things like that you want to share with the judges. You can use those appendices and attach to your submission. We also require a letter from your client, sponsor, or owner, just saying that they were satisfied with the project and the reasons they were satisfied, and what were the outcomes that were achieved by the project by successfully completing it. So now we'll talk about the evaluation criteria. Now that you submitted your submission form, is going to be evaluated, right? So we'll look up about what the criteria is that judges use to evaluate your submission. First, let's talk about the evaluation process. So the evaluation is done independently to PMI Manitoba and the Project of the Year Committee. We do have an independent arm or a judging chair that is completely independent from the planning committee, and their job is to recruit judges. They will recruit judges or senior project managers in Manitoba, and these judges will be screened for conflict of interest, because we don't want to have any conflict of interest or people that know the people that are involved in the submissions. And they also have to sign a confidentiality agreement, agreeing to not disclose any information contained in your submission. The judging is independent, and the results are aggregated for final scoring and provided to the judging chair, who then provides it to the Project of the Year Committee, and that's how we know of the results. So the evaluation is really done in 5 different dimensions. And these are the dimensions here. The first one is objectives, how you met your objectives. And I'll go a little bit into detail on what that means. The second one being how you met your budget. Third one is how you perform in regards to schedule. The fourth one is how you perform on all the other project management knowledge areas, right? Such as risk, communication, procurement. Although the 10 knowledge areas are in the project management body of knowledge, or the PMBOK, those are going to be used to evaluate the fourth criteria. And the fifth one is how complex your project was and how you were able to deal with such complexity. So the first criteria is how you made your objectives, right? The project meet or exceeded the objectives. The letter that you provide from the owner or sponsor is good to demonstrate how the objectives were met. It's also good to have measurable success criteria here, right? If your project did things like, it was going to reduce costs by 50%, or it was going to increase processing times by 25%, things like that. Those are good things that are measurable and that you can prove. And that is good to have in as part of this criteria, so that the judges know that there was a measurable benchmark that you were targeting to accomplish, right? And explain how you were able to accomplish this through the project. This is really what our recommendation is for this first criteria, is to focus on measurable outcomes and provide some information on how you were able to achieve those outcomes. The second criteria is budget. How you perform in regards to budget, and this is where sometimes people get a little bit sensitive in regards to budget information. You are not required to provide dollar amounts. We don't expect to. Like I said, all the information that's in your submission is confidential, and we will not disclose it outside of the judging panel. But if you feel comfortable with not providing budget information, that's totally fine. All we need to know here is how you met your baseline project budget, where and that can be done through other indicators, right? Such as percentage variance or CPI, right? That will tell us, were you under budget and by how much? And that's really what the judges are going to be looking for, right? How do you perform against that budget? And if there were changes done to the budget, was it done in a controlled fashion, right? You use appropriate control mechanisms, change control to establish or change the baseline budget, right? That's really what this criteria is about. The third criteria is similar to the previous one, but in regards to schedule, right? How do you perform against your schedule? Were you in a situation where you had a fixed schedule or a certain date that you had to meet, like end of the fiscal year, or a calendar year date that you had to meet? Explain to us what the challenge was and how you were able to meet that schedule performance, right? Again, you can use indicators or measurable outcomes like a percentage variance, or if you were within your schedule by how much, right? And tell us a little bit more of how you were able to meet that schedule. The fourth criteria is project management. So in here, like I said, the submission template breaks down this criteria into the 10 PMBOK knowledge areas, which includes, risk, includes human resources, communication, procurement, integration management, change control, things like that, right? So for each of those sections in the submission template, what we recommend for you to do is to focus on the ones that really made a difference in your project, right? There may be some that there was nothing really special about them, but if there was a couple where you think it made a really good difference, or you went the extra mile to solve some of the problems or challenges that your project was facing, this is probably where you want to focus your time and energy on. And the way we suggest you write this in the submission is to focus on the challenge, right? What was the challenge that you were facing? Was it a challenge related to risk? Explain what the risk was. Why was it a challenge to your organization? And then once you explain the challenge, describe what the project manager or the project management team did to address the challenge, right? What was done? What was the actions taken? And then what was the outcome after the actions were taken? Did it solve the challenge? Did it mitigate it? Did it change the mentality or the culture in the project team? The judges are going to want to see what the outcome was of your actions, and if you have any measurable benchmarks or any numbers that you can provide as well, they'll also help the judges determine if what you did really had an impact on the problem or challenges you were facing. The other tip that we recommend is to use diagrams or visual representations of the issue. Sometimes it's easier to kind of provide a diagram. Sometimes it could be an org chart or a network diagram of describing sort of the situation you were in or the challenges you were in, and then have another one for what the changes, how the changes took place after you did all those things, right? Those could be things that will help the judges determine if you had an impact on any of these knowledge areas. The fifth criteria is project complexity. And this is really, we're looking to demonstrate the business environment which you were operating under, right? Any project, whether it's small or big, it faces complexity, and there's many different types of complexity. Could be technical complexity, could be a lot of risk factors. It could be complexity with people, right? Complexity with vendors, with clients. So this is where you really get to describe what environment you were dealing with and why was it so complex to you to operate under that environment. What type of constraints you were dealing with, what type of diversity and challenges, issues you were dealing with, and also talk about what you did to try to mitigate that complexity, right? And then once you talk about what you did actually overcome some of the complexity challenges, and how, right? So focus on the similar pattern than the previous criteria, right? Describe the challenge, describe your actions, and then describe the outcome, right? That'll give the judges a really good idea and sense of on what you actually did to mitigate some of the complexity issues in your project. So now that I talked about how your project is going to be evaluated, let's talk about the next steps before we get into the Q&A section. What's next? If this is something that interests you or your organization, there's a couple of next steps to take. First is to look into your submission. We're accepting submissions all the way to Friday, December 16th. So that's still a couple months away. If you have any questions or if you need any help with your submission, we're always open to help you. Please contact us at poi@pmimanitoba.org, and our committee is going to help you answer any questions you may have or provide you with tips and ideas for your submission. Once you submit your project, like I said, there's going to be an independent judging panel that's going to be reviewing all the submissions, and that usually takes place between January and February. And then results will going to be provided to us on February next year. Then in March, if your project is one of the finalists or top 3 projects, is going to be invited to attend video recording sessions where we're going to interview you and your sponsor on the project, and that will give us material to create the 3 to 5 minute video that we talked about. And then lastly, you'll be invited to attend to the Project of the Year Gala, which this next year is going to take place on April 27th. That's a Thursday night at the Canadiens Polo Park Hotel. Again, that's going to be an evening event. There'll be a 4-course meal, entertainment, networking, as well as the presentation where we are going to be unveiling the finalists and the winner of the project of the year. Before we go to the Q&A section, just where to look for more information. The first place you can look at is our website. So the URL is there in your screen. That web page is going to contain a lot of additional information, such as the submission guidelines, which is a detailed step-by-step document on how to submit your project. And it also has a submission template, which is the Word document where you can just use, and it has all the headers that you need. All you need to do is populate the different sections. You can also see the videos from the previous winners to see what they look like, and also look at more information on the previous winners and so on. Also, you can also contact us anytime after this meeting. Feel free to contact us at poy@pmimanitoba.org. So that's it for the formal presentation. I'm going to stop the recording. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll go into some Q&A session to see if any of you have any questions that we're happy to answer.